Have you ever noticed, for my veterans out there, that VRChat has changed? It's like quite interesting, actually, how much it really changed and the type of people that are on it nowadays. I remember right when I got back on VRChat, a little after COVID was announced and we were on lockdown. I had a fair history of VRChat, actually, now I think about it. Even before COVID, where I just didn't talk to anybody. I look at it back then because my true VRChat journey did not happen 9 years ago on my other account. I didn't talk to anybody, I didn't do anything. My true journey actually started in COVID. And I realized something, even from the little bits and pieces of VRChat and how it went down. I realized that VRChat is an ever-changing concept. I realized that, it will change and forget what it used to be, and it'll continue doing that. It's really sad. I remember back then, it was something where you could express yourself and stuff like that. I mean, you still can, but nowadays people a little bit more sinful with it, I guess, as one may say. Um, and it gets to a point where it makes you wonder, why? What happened? Back then, you got in Knuckles, stuff like that, people playing games like horror maps and stuff like that, and not playing the typical jar worlds. Which jar, don't get me wrong, right? By by all means, Jar is not a bad creator. Okay, please understand that. But back then, we were able to go to different worlds, and worlds like this, for example. If you're curious of what this world is called Moody by Fins. Fins used to be a popular creator back then. We would go there, his or her, I don't even know what gender they are. Submerged World or Lunar's End, or this Moody World, for example. This actually used to be the main hangout spot if it wasn't the Black Cat or the Great Pug. Matter of fact, there's a Great Pug that I don't think a lot of new people even knew exists, Great Pug West. And that is now thrown into the wind. I think it still exists. I don't think anyone goes to it anymore. And yeah, I know, things die off. It's supposed to freaking happen. But at the same time, it is quite sad that history on this game has been forgotten. What this game used to be has been forgotten. Nowadays, it feels like all people care about is relationships. Which, don't get me wrong, VRChat is socializing. Okay? By all means, relationships is an important part in VRChat, no matter what time frame you were in. But people care about it so much that they forgot that this is also a game of creativity. A game of, expressing yourself in a way that, like what Moody did here. Finn did here with Moody. Like, this world, I am surprised got forgotten, because this world is what you want it to be outside of the house, of course. You could be like, I don't know, a snowy winter or an autumn fall like we're seeing here, or a beach underwater. It's been forgotten. Even a forest, just gone, and no one goes to it anymore. And even the community itself changed. And I hate to admit that. Like, nowadays, the community is very, how can I put it this way? Adulterated. Let's put it this way, right? I have a bunch of friends on VRChat. Barely any of them I talk to. They're very silent. And not just that, but also, it gets to a point where I'm slowly realizing something, okay? One day, I would request a friend, right? And usually when I would request a friend, or invite them, the response I typically get is, "I'm sorry, I'm European right now." This game sadly became an outlet for the touch-starved, the the deprived, basically. And as I'm like playing this game and stuff, matter of fact, there's something that made me realize it's like this. I met an old friend, right? It got to a point where this old friend was looking something for me. You already probably know what it is. I don't have to explain it. And that's made me realize like how much it changed, but not for the better. No one's going to interesting worlds anymore. No one's going to worlds like this, for example, where literally you could vibe. You could make the outdoor scenery a different freaking scenery, basically. Nowadays, VRChat is just a lot of people rather playing games, and if they're not playing games, they are doing something in a private world. And as of lately, that's been making me depressed, thinking about it. Like, this community has changed so much that it changed me too. For example, if you knew me back then, you realize how different I used to be back then. But nowadays, I have a distaste for the e-community, so e-boys and e-girls. And that's because the community changed in a way that it feels like all the e-boys care about is e-puss and, hurting girls' feelings, while the e-girls are typically manipulative and love to start drama, And I'm not gonna act like my community that I'm in is innocent. Like, the booth community, people there are horny as fuck. Like, they only care about favors and stuff. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the booth community is better off than the E community, because it feels like all the E community wants is that there are definitely some people in the booth community that like are still genuine, still good. And it gets to a point because, I just wish it was like back then. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I had horrible times back then. Like, I've been through basically a heartbreak like never before, and I think this heartbreak is why I don't like the E community, because it involved an E-boy, but it is what it is, And like, sometimes I wish it was the way it was back then, where it was easier, where we're doing more than just sitting at mirrors, streaming, being fanboy, streaming on VRChat and being sexual, and like, fighting over who gets who, and just going to private worlds to use someone. I'm gonna be real, most people that take another person to a private world, it does kind of feel like they sweet talk them just so they can use them to get off, and it's really sad. Like, I hate that, honestly. If I'm being real with you, I miss my old friends. I miss these old times. As a matter of fact, one of the better friends I'm still friends with, I technically met them here in Moody. And they were so sweet to me. They were so kind. I just wish it was the way it was back then. I miss not having a total freaking bias towards the community. I miss going to random worlds and actually go to a random world instead of like sitting at a mirror or playing the game constantly. Like, I miss that so much. And it feels like, nowadays, even new players, I want them to witness what VRChat was like back then, is through these worlds that died. This world is dead now. This world, no one goes to this world. I only seen one person in this world, and I guarantee you that's probably Finn's. And it really sucks, The adventures I had back then cannot be experienced by new people because of where the community took their adventures, which is, mirrors, fucking clubs, strip clubs and stuff like that, VR strip clubs. They exist. And mainly ERP too. And even content back then. Like, that changed. Content back then used to be a lot of funnies, a lot of good moments. Drumsy is a good example of how content used to be back then. Even Drumsy now has changed his content, right? His content's still funny now. He still keeps the foundation of VRChat content. But like nowadays, it's a bunch of girls or femboys or even regular dudes using the human mindset to gain views. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I watch Globable, and Globable, they mainly like to do, like, don't get me wrong, there's things they like to do besides this. However, it feels like their main attraction to people is the fact that they are a fanboy or trans, I don't know which one anymore, that makes sexual jokes, and that's what it appeals. Not saying that their content's bad. I mean, having some content like that is okay, but when the majority of the content of that platform is like that, it becomes a problem. It ruins expectations for new people to come in. It ruins a lot of things. And I don't blame them. I really don't. I want to change how people perceive VRChat, but obviously I'm just one person. I just want people to go to old worlds and experience what VRChat was like back then, even bring it back potentially. But I can't do that. I'm just one person. And like, you know, I can't do this all by myself. Like, I literally have a very, very small community out of like, what, 4 or 3 videos? Like, don't get me wrong, for 4 and 3 videos, I'm doing pretty good. Like, how much that I have right now is like how much someone would have if they were doing 20, 30, 40 videos. But I'm still a small community, you know? I'm still like very small. Like, I'm like a speck of dust in the universe type stuff, I guess. But, you know, one day I do wish to bring back VRChat how it used to be. At least some remnants of it, right? We're not going to stop people from ERP. We're not going to stop people make, you know, that type of content. Man, I just really miss how VRChat used to be.